Good morning to you. We are now learning more about why a man reportedly assaulted a 13-year-old boy in Superior after the boy would not remove his baseball hat during the national anthem. And last week, Kurt Brockway pled not guilty to the charges in front of him.
And also a tourist in Yellowstone off the boardwalk. We'll have more from Yellowstone National Park on that story coming up later as well.
Good morning to you. Welcome to your Monday. I'm Misty O'Malley with Chet Lehman. And as we mentioned a moment ago, this story about an assault of a 13-year-old boy during the national anthem.
Yeah, this week Kurt Brockway pleaded not guilty to the charges. In front of him, his attorney Lance Jasper tried to explain the mindset of his client.
And he gave an oath not only to follow the orders of his commanders, but his president and that type of thing. And when you have a person that doesn't have much of a life, they only have what's core to them. And he's core, he's a veteran. And so he's going to listen to whoever he identifies with.
Now, Jasper says his client took messages from the president's stance on standing for the national anthem to heart.
And he added that Brockway understood everybody is to observe the national anthem and is influenced by his rhetoric. Now, this, of course, sparked backlash across the nation, and Brockway and his attorney were met with aggressive messages from across the nation.
Maybe this attorney of yours, Lance Jasper, will have some integrity, honor, and patriotism and address the idea that this kind of behavior is actually not patriotic, that being a disabled veteran is not an excuse for assaulting people.
Jasper, how can you possibly defend this that slammed this kid and then blame the president? I hope the partners in your firm fire your.
Now, according to Brockway's attorney, Brockway suffered a traumatic brain injury. The attorney says Brockway's functions at about the third grade level.
He also says Brockway also has impulse control issues. Jasper said despite causing bodily harm to a minor, his client expressed remorse that the child did get hurt. Brockway, is next scheduled to appear for a court hearing on October 23rd. Maximum sentence for felony assault on a minor, according to the charging document, is 5 years in prison and or a $50,000 fine. I hope that little boy is okay.
Yes.
So Matt joins us now, and looks like we got a hot day ahead of us. It's kind of
yeah, drink plenty of water, wear appropriate clothing for the heat. It's going to warm up pretty quickly as we head through the morning, mainly because we have a lot of sunshine. Early morning temperatures down into the 30s and 40s, a couple of 50s out there. We'll be dealing with pretty intense heat, sunshine through the afternoon. Very few clouds in store. We'll see the wind speeds trying to pick up as you head into the mid to late part of the afternoon. Again, there may be a few clouds in the mountains of southwest Montana, but our rain chances are slim. We're going to talk more about that, of course, in just a few minutes.
Thank you for that, Matt. Now, a new lightning-caused wildfire is burning about 13 miles northwest of Whitehall near Delmo Lake. Now, this fire is just 17 acres right now. It is burning in the rocky, inaccessible terrain. The Forest Service describes the area as heavy timber with many dead trees. A 3-person crew is working on the fire, while 7 other firefighters are building a fire line to provide an escape route for those 3 working closer to the blaze. A helicopter is dropping water on the fire as well. Firefighters say they are not worried that the hot, dry weather this week, coupled with the afternoon winds, could cause the fire to flare up and spread.
Also, this weekend, three separate accidents claimed the lives of 5 people in northeastern Montana.
According to the Montana Highway Patrol, the first crash west of Bainville happened Friday around 5 p.m. when a box truck was traveling south on Road 1013 near U.S. Highway 2 and entered the railroad tracks.
That truck was stuck in the passenger side of an eastbound train. Bed and box parts broke free and landed in the south side ditch, while the cab and chassis rolled into the north side ditch. The occupant, an 18-year-old man and a 21-year-old man, both from Culbertson, were partially ejected and both pronounced dead at the scene. Both men were wearing seat belts. Alcohol and speeds are not suspected factors in this crash.
And a second crash happened west of Culbertson around 2 p.m. Saturday afternoon. According to Montana Highway Patrol, a 2009 Chevy Traverse was traveling east when a driver attempted to pass another vehicle and swerved into the right to avoid an oncoming car, hitting and approaching, rolling 2 times and coming to a rest. Now, all 3 occupants were thrown from that vehicle.
66-year-old man was transported to Roosevelt Memorial Medical Center in Culbertson with injuries. The driver and another passenger, a 41-year-old woman, a 50-year-old woman, died at the scene. All three occupants were not wearing seatbelts. Alcohol and speed are suspected factors in this crash.
And finally, a third crash occurred west of Poplar. According to Montana Highway Patrol, a 22-year-old man was traveling east in a 2013 Chevy Cruze when he veered right and went 400 feet along the ditch before hitting a metal culvert, which catapulted the vehicle 187 feet. It then rolled multiple times before striking a wooden pole and coming to a rest on the roof of the car. The driver was not wearing a seatbelt, and both alcohol and speed once again suspected factors in that crash.
6:35 now. In other news this morning, in Yellowstone National Park on Saturday, visitors reported and took video of a man walking within feet of the Old Faithful geyser. Check out this video. Devin, who shared the video with MTN News, tells us hundreds were waiting for the geyser to erupt when this man got this close to take a photo on his phone. Yellowstone staff reportedly followed the man until rangers could arrive. No word yet on charges against this person, but another man who walked off the boardwalk and across Grand Prismatic Spring in May received 4 days in jail and a $1,040 fine for breaking those rules.
I'm just going to refrain myself from saying anything right now there. And then Butte will host a summit this week, striving to make schools a little bit safer across the state of Montana.
The Jeremy Bullock Safe Schools Summit will be held Tuesday, that's tomorrow, at the Copper King Hotel. Feature a variety of guest speakers and workshops to train people on how to make schools safer from gun violence.
Better doors, better locks, things they can do environmentally inside the schools, different things that teachers and administrators can do to make their schools safer, and then training with law enforcement and training on what to do in case of an active shooter inside the schools.
By the way, that summit named after 11-year-old Jeremy Bullock, who was killed in a school shooting in Butte back in 1994.
And Montana Governor and presidential candidate Steve Bullock is still hitting the campaign trail to qualify for the next Democratic debate, which comes up in September.
Yesterday, he was on Fox News, and much of his time was spent talking about immigration and how he differs from a large pack of Democratic candidates.
President Trump is using immigration to divide our country.
What I disagree with is we're using immigration to essentially divide this country. Now, we need to, like as a Democrat, I am for border security. I'm for figuring out comprehensive immigration reform. But I do think that this president's using immigration to not only rip families apart, but this country apart.
Now, Bullock also took aim at Ken Cuccinelli, who works in the Trump administration as acting director of the Citizenship and Immigration Service Office.
Bullock compared Cuccinelli's views on immigration to Russian's Vladimir Putin's views on election security.
I even served with Ken Cuccinelli when he was Attorney General. Like, putting him in charge of immigration would be like putting Putin in charge of election security.
Bullock also spoke about Israel, who denied 2 congresswomen from coming to the country and then reversed their decision. Bullock thinks Israel, one of our allies, should easily allow any member of Congress to visit the country. Bullock will appear on CNN for an hour-long town hall on Sunday, August 25th at 4 o'clock.
And in this week Under the Big Sky bonus, we get to go behind the scenes at Winston Raj Company in Twin Bridges.
Yeah, we'll get a look at how this small group of artisans makes world-class fly rods.
Under the Big Sky is sponsored by Rocky Mountain Vein Clinic and Markovich Real Estate.
The production cycle of a rod. We begin with a pattern. We have the pattern set up, pattern's ready to go. We'll take that pattern into our cutting room, where a gentleman will roll out the fabric that's called for in the pattern and cut it to the dimensions. That pattern then is taken down into the blank rolling facility where it's tacked onto a steel mandrel. It's rolled under pressure. It's then wrapped and taped in a cellophane tape to hold it on the mandrel. Then it's baked in an oven. From there, then the mandrel is pulled out of the part. The tape rings are sanded off the blank, give it a smooth finish. Then that blank is progressed into the finishing room. After the paint and clear coat is cured on the part, then it goes to be cut and fit into a rod. Most of our rods are 4-piece rods. We call it ferruling the rod, so we'll cut and fit each ferrule by hand. Now you have a 4-piece rod. It's ready for the tip top to be glued on. We make sure everything is in proper alignment between the rod and the tip top. After that, the cork grip is glued on. Then it goes to wrapping, where the guides are wrapped onto the rod. The rod goes into the coating room where the thread wraps are coated. The company logo is attached to the rod. Every information on the rod, including serial numbers, handwritten onto the rod. It's inspected. The reel seat is put on. The rod is prepared for eventual shipment out. So that's the process, and I think I covered them all.
Okay.
Did you write all those down?
Tip top.
More than just a fly rod, it is a work of art. You can check out the full Winston Rod story and all of our current stories online at, you guessed it, underthebigsky.com.
See how easy that was?
That was it. 55
Only
simple
takes a few
steps over months and months of time. That's all it takes. You can do it at home.
Right? Almost. It'll almost look like that.
You better get started.
It is time for a quick break.